Who will be this year's Rookie of the Year? Who will be the first-time All-Star? And which rookie will be the biggest disappointment? Find out here from the Locked On NBA Big Board crew. Stay tuned. Shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, and I got my guys in the building today. I got Leif Thulin, the guy who watches more college basketball than everyone else. And then we got the clip god himself, Richard Stayman, who's known for clipping everything together on YouTube. I am the director of scouting for NBA Big Board and the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. And guys, it's been a while since all of us have been on a round table. And I'm glad that we're all back here. We're missing Sam. But today's episode is special because the NBA season, it officially started yesterday, and we have some predictions. So I'll go with you first, Leif, and then you can answer right after that, Richard. Rookie of the Year. Who is your choice for Rookie of the Year?
I'm going with Paolo Banchero. I know nothing super crazy taking the number one pick, but this is a guy that I think has an immediate chance to be a upper level scorer on his team, whereas a few of the other high picks won't be the top commodity on a team. I'm not saying he'll be the lead scorer necessarily for the Magic, but he's certainly got a very good chance to be. And I think playing time and opportunity and role all favor him. I think Paolo Banchero, I'd be very confident he's on the all-rookie team. I think he's got the best chance for Rookie of the Year. And I'd say Keegan Murray would be my second option, but I like Banchero's chances to raise the trophy.
Yeah, I'm going with Banchero too, but I feel like Jaden Ivey might have a really good chance because he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Banchero's in a situation where, Orlando has a lot of talent, and he's going to get up a lot of shots, but they've put together some really, really weird lineups. And I've seen them playing point guard for a few possessions. What about you, Richard? Who do you think is going to be the best rookie?
I also have Paolo Banchero. I think just like you said, the talent next to him is really good, but it is a little bit awkward, which I think might play to his advantage. We saw him run a lot of pick and roll in the preseason, something he did not do very much at Duke. So I think that's going to be an interesting development that's really special for him. And I think a big thing for him is going to impact the game quickly too, because guys are going to get higher assist numbers, field goal percentage is going to rise across the board. I think that's going to work to his advantage. Keegan Murray is a close second because I see the Kings as a play-in team, but I think Paolo is going to inch him out because the stats are going to be better.
So with the Kings, what do you think their starting lineup is going to be?
That is a tough question. I was not prepared to answer, but I think it's going to start with Sabonis at the top. Obviously, we get De'Aaron Fox is in there. I think is Kevin Huerter supposed to start? I want to say he's the sixth man, but I think Davion Mitchell is going to start. So that leaves maybe and Harrison Barnes has to be there too, and then Keegan Murray. So they have good
six guys.
That's six.
Yeah,
did I really just list six? Fox, Mitchell, Barnes, Murray, Sabonis. Who did I list?
So unless you're saying,
Huerter's six man. Huerter's six man.
Okay, then there's Monk.
Yeah, and he'll be really good off the bench too. I like what they did. I like the top seven at least of that roster.
But let's talk about Jabari Smith. Jabari was, he's a lot of people's favorite to go number one. What type of season do you expect him to have? Are your expectations high? Do you think that he's even the best rookie on the Rockets?
I think there's going to be nights where Jabari Smith is not the best rookie in the Rockets, and he won't contribute to winning as immediately as Tari Eason. I think Tari Eason's being older and kind of fitting this scrappy defensive DNA makes a team win more immediately. I think Jabari Smith is going to have nights where you say, wow, he could have been the number one pick. And I think he'll have a very good chance to be on the all-rookie team. But I think Tari Eason may have a better chance to be on the all-rookie team because I think his game translates more quickly. Jabari Smith may be the better player long-term, but I think in this immediate year, if we're doing a 2022, 2023, specific episode, I think Tari Eason has a very likely claim to being the better rookie.
And Richard, what are your expectations for Jabari?
I actually kind of disagree. I think Jabari is going to be steady more than Tari is, but I think in terms of volume, Tari might edge him out more. But I think actually Jabari is going to be the more impactful player of the two. I think Jabari is going to be great, and I think you're going to see Jalen Green get close to 5 assists a game. I think 4 is a pretty reasonable number. I think he was at 3 last year, if I'm not mistaken. I have to fact check myself, but I think Jabari Smith is not only going to offer really good defense, especially next to Alperen Sengun. He's going to be a saving grace for him. And then on top of that, he's going to be able to spot up, space the floor, play multiple roles, play within the 3-point line, outside the 3-point line. I really like what he offers. I think he's a dark horse somehow to be the rookie of the year for 2023.
I think Eason's going to end up being a fan favorite, and there's going to be some pressure on the coach to play Silas a lot of minutes, because Eason so far, I mean, it's preseason, it's been in summer league, but he's a double machine, and it doesn't take a lot of minutes for him to get his double, and so it's one of those things where I would not be surprised if Jabari gets off to a slow shooting start and Eason is making hustle plays, getting 10 rebounds, that people are going to start to say, I think it puts more pressure on Jabari in a sense, because he was 15 spots ahead of Eason, and Eason is probably, even if they play to a tie, I think that's going to put some pressure on him. And I think that Eason is more ready to contribute in multiple ways, just because, I mean, he's a stat stuffer in a sense. And so I think Jabari could possibly get off to a slow shooting start, which is very common for rookies. And it's going to be very interesting in Houston. All right, let's go to the biggest surprise. Which rookie is going to surprise and outperform his draft position? We already talked about Eason as a strong possibility there, but is there anybody else that you think can outperform where they were drafted?
I'll start with this. I actually think somebody like Marjon Beauchamp is somebody who's going to have a really good rookie year. I have him as an all rookie guy just because he was so good on defense in the preseason. And I think it translates up. It was against starters. And I really like what he brings to the table year one. In the 24th pick, I think if you're getting a rotation player on a title contending team, that's a big win.
Do you think he gets rotation minutes? I mean, when Middleton comes back, I think it's going to be tough for him to see time when Middleton is back and when they're healthy. And then I think Milwaukee, as we get closer to the end of the season, is going to be a team that ends up getting some impactful guy in a buyout. So I have a hard time seeing him like really have a major impact at the end of the year.
Well, I think the beginning of the year is going to be helpful for him because also Pat Connaughton's out. So they're missing 2 wing rotation players right there. So I think he steps up at the least for Connaughton's spot, not necessarily Middleton, but I'm optimistic he fills in that role really nicely.
Who's going to be your big surprise, Leif?
I think Eason would be the guy that I think most outperforms. My big surprise, though, I think there's a very good chance for guys on bad teams to get a ton of run. And so that's the way I'd say that those type of players are going to outperform their expectations. I like Blake Wesley an awful lot. I was very high on him pre-draft. Had him number 11 on my board. He went 25th. I think he's going to have tons of opportunities to show what he's made of. He's going to have some growing pains. Shooting may not be beautiful for rookies, as you mentioned. And another guy I had very high that slipped was Jaden Hardy. I think there's going to be opportunity for him to play alongside the best playmaker in the NBA and Luka Doncic. And he could have some instant impact that very few would project with the 37th pick on a team that just made the conference finals.
Yeah, I have a lot more questions for you guys, but before we get into that, I want to talk to the audience about Prize Picks. So you may wonder, what is Prize Picks? And Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You can pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It is just you versus the projections available. And Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch, which includes NBA, NFL, NHL, PGA, college football, college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, even esports. They have NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing. You get it. Even Eurobasket. So Eurobasketball, which is big for me. Entries can be made 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. It is safe and there are fast withdrawals, and it is currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. So do not forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for the instant deposit match up to $100. Once again, you are listening to the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe. I got Leif Thulin and Richard Stayman here, and we're just doing a little round table about some of the predictions for the 2023 NBA season. And of course, a lot of it is going to be centered on the rookies because we spent literally like 9 months dissecting their every move and covered them for the draft. And now let's talk about the biggest disappointment. Who is the guy that you think is going to be the biggest disappointment in the 2022 NBA draft class?
Okay, I think that for those of you who've listened to us in our roundtables before, this won't be too much of a surprise. I think Johnny Davis, who went number 10, is going to have a hard time scoring in the NBA, and that was what his best attribute was. Knowledge, and the way he scored was a la DeMar DeRozan, and DeRozan's basically one of one in the NBA at that size. Durant, I don't count in the mid-range conversation because he is one of one. And I think Johnny Davis is going to really have to embrace the role of 3-and-D, shooting corner threes, rebounding, and embrace that role. And I think you saw in the the summer league, he really struggled against NBA caliber athletes to use his size and elevate and score in that facet. So I think he's going to have a rough transition into playing this role-playing role while trying to still be aggressive and do what the expectation is for a top 10 pick.
Yeah, man, Johnny Davis got off to he's had a bad summer and preseason. And these numbers I saw, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm hoping I got some bad data, but is it 2.5 points per game on 2 for 21 shooting in 19 minutes? Are those numbers true?
He scored 10 points across 4 games. Yeah.
I didn't even know that before that.
I mean, I saw him and I was like, nah, this can't be true. Somebody made a huge mistake. But yeah.
His first 2 games, he was 0 of 12.
2 for 21. Yikes.
I mean, that's the slam dunk. Like, that's the obvious pick. If I'm not just going to repeat that. Like, obviously, that I think that was like somebody who I was high on him, but also wasn't. Like, I think the other one for me this year that's going to be, I don't know if it's disappointing. I just don't know if he's going to be 8th pick good, is Dyson Daniels. I really don't know what his role is on this team. I just feel like it's not his fault. Where does he fit?
Yeah, he's in a weird situation. But I will say that the Pelicans have done a good job with their G League team as far as like developing guys. And I imagine him spending a lot of time in Birmingham. But yeah, for a guy that was a top 10 pick, you can't say like there's a role for him. But it's like you said, it's not his fault. He went to a team that has high expectations. You normally don't see guys drafted that high going to a team that is expected to be really, really competitive. But yeah, I mean, unless there's a situation where Graham is out, Devontae Graham is out, or CJ or one of their guards, I really don't see like a direct path for him to even play 10 to 15 minutes per game.
His best hope is if Herb gets hurt. Like, it's literally a saving grace, which is kind of messed up to think, but that's his only path.
Yeah, because I mean, even then, you got to figure Alvarado's going to play. You got to figure Graham, CJ. So that's 3.
Trey Murphy, who's
they got to develop Kyra Lewis too. Like, he's irrelevant, but he's also kind of in the mix because he's in year 3. He's going to make
so young. He's so young. He's still probably like 20, 21 maybe, but you have to figure like they probably, if they drafted a point guard, they might have moved on from Lewis. So, which is kind of crazy because he's so young. Anybody else that you feel like could have a disappointing rookie, or even if somebody that you feel like may have a really difficult time adjusting? All right, let's talk about AJ Griffin. Do you see him finding a path to consistent minutes in Atlanta?
It's going to be hard, I think he's going to have to battle Jalen Johnson, and Jalen Johnson's already on the edge of the rotation. Obviously, they're kind of different roles. Like AJ Griffin's going to be literally just a spot up shooter, but it's going to be tough. I think he's going to be irrelevant for one half of the season, and I'm just not sure which half.
Yeah, I don't see where he plays. I mean, because you got to figure you got Trey, you got Murray, you got Bogdan, you have Hunter just signed. So I mean, that's four. That's four wings and ball handlers right there. And then after that, I mean, he's like the fifth guy in their backcourt rotation. And then I think one of the holidays are there.
I think he's got a chance to get run in this strict fashion. Is that they're going to have games where they're going to try to play younger players, and he's going to shoot well. Like I really buy his shooting. I thought he was the best shooter in this entire draft, and I think there are going to be games where they're like, okay, well, we can develop him, and now we play him with Trae Young just in a stint, and he shoots well. And I guess it's an if he shoots well in those stints, there's a chance he works his way into the fringe of the rotation and plays a little bit. But when you're drafted 16th to a team that wants to contend and made a win now move into getting DeJounte Murray, an all-star caliber guard, I don't hold you to the same expectation I do necessarily in like the win now aspect of the Wizards for Johnny Davis, where you get there's a lesser quality of players ahead of him. Whereas AJ Griffin's got two all-stars on the backcourt ahead of him. Bogdan Bogdanovic has been there, done that. I just feel like his path is a little more circuitous to minutes, but I think there's a way that he can do it, and it's more clear because I really do believe he'll shoot the ball that well.
See, I don't think Atlanta's going to really play their young guys like that. I mean, the East is so tough and it's so competitive. If you get off to a slow start, you can be in trouble. I mean, Atlanta was a team that went to the conference finals the year before, and then last year they had to get into the play-in. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them this year, especially with the move that they made for Murray and the money that they just shelled out for Hunter. They're spending a lot of money. So I imagine that rookie is probably going to have, I mean, he's probably not going to see much time there. And I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly, if they use it as like a developmental year in a sense, where it's like, hey, get your body right. We're going to make sure that you're 100% healthy. You play some here. You'll be with what do they call the Skyhawks. And it's kind of crazy because this is a guy that we thought was going to be a top 5 pick at one point. And now we're talking about him, especially if there hasn't been any red flags about injuries, talking about a guy that's going to be outside of the rotation as a rookie.
Injuries are inevitable though. So, I mean, I think he's going to pop up in the rotation. Like somebody's going to get hurt. Like it's really hard to have an entire rotation stay healthy, especially on wings too. I think it's going to be one of those things. This is where so many of these rookies, where it's like one injury, it's good insurance, right? Like I'd say almost all of these rookies are high level insurance for this draft, or for their rotation from this draft.
Yeah, and I think as fans, we kind of we do so much work like evaluating these rookies, and we want to actually like see them play, but then in reality, there's some guys that are going to really struggle for minutes. And that leads to my next question. Which rookie do you feel is this year's Josh Primo, or maybe even James Bouknight, guys that were selected high? We'll just go with the lottery that are outside of, we talked about Dyson Daniels, that are probably going to be in the G League.
Yeah, Dyson's my pick.
Yeah, I think Dyson's the safest. I think there's a world where a guy like AJ's in there. I think Ochai Agbaji's got an outside case because he was traded to the Jazz, and I think there's going to be times where he's going to get lots of run in the NBA if there's an injury to one of the guards, or should they make a trade, which I think is very possible, maybe even likely, to one of their guards ahead of him. But I think there's going to be times where they try to develop him into a more featured player, and the way to do that is put him onto the Salt Lake Stars. So I think there's a possibility for Agbaji, who came in at the tail end of the lottery, to be in that boat as well.
His agent would have to be furious if he's selected in the lottery and he's outside of the rotation on the team that is clearly in rebuilding mode. That just really devalues his position. Ousmane Dieng, what are your expectations for Dieng?
I personally, I'm expecting good things. I mean, he's good on defense. His shot is looked really clean. I mean, it's quick. He gets it off over defenses. I think he's going to have a lot of different roles on this I don't want to say the T word, but this Oklahoma City team that is trying different things to accomplish unconventional results. I would say, I'm not going to say the T word, but I think he's going to benefit a lot from that because his whole archetype was he can do almost anything on the court. Let him run some point, let him be spot up, let him be first option, defend the first option. That's 3 different major hats to wear. And I think he's going to thrive at most of, not all of those things.
All right. When we return, I have a few more questions for the guys, maybe a little bit of rapid fire questions, but I want to thank each and every person for making Locked On NBA Big Boy your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, game to game, every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, and it's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Who is going to lead all rookies in scoring?
Banchero, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's got
Paolo.
the most direct role.
Yeah, Paolo, I mean, we got him Rookie of the Year.
All right. So who's going to lead the rookies in rebounding?
Jalen Duren.
That's a good one because I think he will average double digits rebounds. I'll go with Mark Williams because that center rotation is not strong.
I might even go with Tari Eason.
Tari. Wow. I thought about it. I thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, his rebounds per minute is crazy. All right, who leads all rookies in assists?
Ooh, I'm gonna, I got a bold one. It's the obvious is Jaden Ivey, right? Because he's splitting so many touches with Cade Cunningham, and Saddiq Bey has more off-ball roles every game from last year. I'm gonna go with somebody a little bit different. I'm gonna say Jeremy Sohan because that vehicle for military, again, I'm not going to say the T word on this far out, that is
we can say it. It is. I was in Las Vegas.
That tank is rolling hard. I mean I think they're going to let Jeremy play a lot of point guard. I think you're going to see a surprise amount of volume for him on passing.
Yeah, it's I was in Vegas, and that was the word.
Follow Pop's idea or his words. Don't bet on that team.
I mean, everybody was talking about tanking, and I mean, and it's it's been discussed at length since the Scoot and Wembanyama showcase. But we're going to see some very, very crazy lineups. Usually, we may see them in like March. We may start seeing some crazy lineups in like December. So Sohan at the point. It's going to be something that I don't think is like outside the box. Like I said, I mean, the Spurs, I think even if they played their hardest, they just do not have enough talent. And, you look at like Blake Wesley, for example, I think he's going to play a lot of minutes at the point. I like Blake a lot. Spent time with him in Vegas. Those shooting splits are going to be disgusting is my prediction, just because, I mean, I just think all of those guys are going to have some really ugly shooting splits unless they kind of make up for it in like blowouts and they score some garbage points at the end of games that kind of help their fantasy stats a little bit, but it's going to be some ugly basketball.
They're going to be doing what they're worst at the most a lot of the game. So their volume's going to be, their volume and production and just stats are going to be horrible.
Yeah. All right, Leif.
I got 2 options. I think both are outside the box. I think Paolo Banchero's got a route to doing it for the similar situation to what Richard said about Sohan, but I think he'll have the ball and be the featured scorer. So that means there's attention drawn. He'll get some lobs to Wendell Carter Jr., some design pick and roll. I think he'd be my pick. I think there's an outside the box chance that Jalen Williams gets some if they run him at the point in those type of games that are blowouts, because Josh Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would take those reps, and Trey Mann too. But I think there's going to be a world where he gets the ball more than we anticipate, as him being more of a slasher like we saw in the limited action in the Salt Lake Summer League, where he absolutely dominated in that slasher role. But I'd go Banchero and then just a kind of a curveball pick of Jalen Williams, the Santa Clara product, just to specify.
Yeah. All right. Who has more blocks? Walker Kessler, Jalen Duren, or Mark Williams?
Total or per game?
Yeah.
Per game.
Leif, this one's you.
I got Duren. I don't think Walker Kessler is going to play enough minutes early enough. And so maybe by the end, he's impressed me. And I've been up close. I've seen him play. And I think he's lighter. He's lost some weight in his lower body, and I think he's thicker up top, and he's sliding his feet well. His recovery speed was always something that was impressive in terms of the timing from behind, blocking shots when he's beaten. And I think with the Jazz, prioritize rim protection at the utmost levels, Eaton, Gobert, Andre Kirilenko even. And I think that they're going to prioritize what he can bring to the table. And I think there's a pathway for him to play, but right now he's behind three centers, and like they don't say it this way, but Markkanen's playing the three. The 4 right now is Kelly Olynyk, and the 5 is Jared Vanderbilt. And I don't think all of those stay the entire year. And then there's Udoka Azubuike. And
your
then there's
favorite
a couple
player. Your favorite player.
Don't even get me started on Azubuike, man. It just hurts me. Like Jaden Daniels and Gobert are going to play together, and by the time people listen to this, and I'm going to say this could have happened for 2 years, and the Jazz would still have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
So who's the other center like that's ahead of him? Because I have him as like a dark horse for first team all rookie.
I think they're playing Vanderbilt at the 5. Wow. That's what they've done in the 4 preseason games, and I actually really like it.
Yeah, I gotta watch some Jazz games. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt guarding Embiid and Jokic is definitely a way to help you get Victor Wembanyama.
You can put Kelly the Clinic Olynyk in there and throw his body around.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna be some weird. I mean, you might even see Vanderbilt playing some 1 because when he was in high school, he was known as like
point guard.
Yeah, this versatile guy that can play multiple positions. So people were comparing him to like a Lamar Odom type. So that's gonna be very, very interesting. All right, the next question is who will be out of? I mean, this is not. I don't think anybody from this draft will be an all-star, but who will be a first-time all-star from the 2020 NBA draft class? I mean, I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards as the best possibility.
Yeah, I mean, Ant is going to be a contender for most improved. I think it's safely him. I really don't know who else.
Tyrese?
Maybe Tyrese Maxey's probably the second best bet. Maybe I'm missing somebody, or actually, yeah, I think it's him because you have to factor in the team.
I'm thinking, I'm looking through it to see if there's anyone that's got a chance. I think Maxey's got the best chance. I think Desmond Bane, you could toss in there, but I think the guards are too crowded in the West for that. But I think that's probably my third option.
All right,
yeah, Bane's my pick.
Any surprise rookies, or I'm sorry, anybody else that you think that has been within the last 4 drafts that would be a first-time all-star? Like I would have never thought Darius Garland was going to be an all-star. I mean, you could have bet me $100,000 and I was saying, no, he's not going to make the all-star team. Any surprise young players that you think can make their first all-star appearance this year?
Jordan Poole.
Think so. It's weird.
It's a tough one because you have like 4 all-stars, but
he could be a fan favorite now because everybody kind of sees him as like the victim and people hate Draymond.
Wiggins made it last year.
Yeah.
Like that way, all I'm saying is they might do it again with Jordan Poole.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't have anyone better than that. I think that's the only one that you can really point to that's got a opportunity, and the fans, especially like that, they'll get behind that cause for Poole. And obviously I think his volume's going to go up this year too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they paid him $140 million, so his volume has to go up. Well, thank you guys for this episode. First day of NBA season under. I mean, it's a wrap. The first day is done, and now we have 82 more games, and we have a lot of college basketball coming up within the next few weeks. Well, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen, the NBA season is here. We just talked about that, and our local NBA experts and insiders have you covered on and off the floor all season long. All the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It is available on YouTube, Odyssey, and wherever you get your podcast. Once again, I'm Rafael Barlowe with Leif Thulin and Richard Stayman, and we are out.